Okay, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Everything's a go. How's it going, everybody? It's been a powerful day. A lot of energies floating around. A lot of people being affected. We're getting hammered on these algorithms. It's our third show of the day. If these shows resonate, please share because we are getting hammered and suppressed big time. We can tell because of nobody gets any notifications, and usually we get a big crowd come in about 15 or 20 minutes into the show. We've got our third show of the day. Suzen, Dopson, and Gagnon. It's going to be a very unique show. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy that they're here. Let me pull them up on screen now. How's it going?
Good. Very good. How you doing, sir?
Very good. Very good. It's a pleasure to meet y'all. I'm Todd. Thank you for coming in and honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us today.
I appreciate you asking us.
Yeah, no.
Enough to entertain your audience.
What's that?
We're interesting enough to entertain your audience.
Now, I don't know where Morgan's finding all these new people, but this is great. I mean, this is what we need. We need real-time experience, real-time intel.
Right.
So you guys have been together a while. I read a little bit about you.
We have known each other for a very long time as friends, as just friends. He was married, I was married. We never really flirted. We were just friends all those years. I got divorced, and then about 5 years later, or maybe a little bit more than, he got separated. And then we met on 11/11/11. We were supposed to meet the month before, but since his job, he has to wait for somebody to relieve him before he can leave the house. And it just so happened that it just worked out that he was there on 11/11, and it was an 11 year, and he was supposed to be there earlier, but he got stuck in a traffic jam because there was an accident, and so he didn't get there till about 11 o'clock.
Well, you can't make this stuff up.
It was pretty awesome.
No. And 11/11 and 1/11, it comes up all the time for us.
All the time. We bought a new truck. We're gonna make a license plate with 1111.
Yeah. So did you guys kind of wake up together? Did you do it individually?
Yeah, I would say I've been since I was a child one of those types, and I've just been a light worker, aware that I was a light worker since probably in the 90s. Some point in the 90s. And then definitely after 2001, after 9/11, that's when I really started waking up because I started digging into the conspiracies. And then, of course, along with that comes spiritual awakening because it's all connected, right?
True.
And
True.
so that was mine. But Dale has never, he's always been interested in native things and stuff like that, but he's never really pursued a spiritual life. He doesn't like churches or anything, but maybe you can tell a little bit about that.
I'm not sure. From, I don't know, cowboys and Indians as a kid, I'd always pick the Indian part. I don't know. I've always grown up in the California in the Southwest, and seemed like a Southwest New Mexico is where I met Susan. And she happens to be native also. And I don't know how it just all worked in together. All our house stuff seems to have some native things in it. And then when she'd see that I'd have something native,
then we each have
twin flame
a
tattoos.
tattoo. We each have a feather with a heart in it.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting because we didn't realize it at the time, but he made mine too low. Anyway, when we stand next to each other, we just put our arms together and they match absolutely perfectly. So,
See, you can't make this stuff up.
no, that was great.
You obviously have a third energies involved here. There's no doubt. You know, to be meeting at 11/11 on an 11 day and 11 year, and then having
that was pretty cool. And then when I moved in here, it was 1/11.
January.
Yeah, it was January 11th, so it just so happened to be that way too.
So you were saying that you knew you were a light worker in the 90s. I mean, I didn't have any a real wake up until 2011, but I don't think I ever saw the word till 2012 or 2013. Was that word out there in the 90s?
No, not light worker, probably. I didn't know of it anyway, but I would say the seeking part, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a Mormon. And so I consider my waking up starting in the Mormon church because I'm not a Mormon now, of course, but it's a very deep doctrine. And people that really want to get into it have to be deep searchers for truth. And so at some point, of course, you discover that it's not true, and that's what happened to me. So in a way, it was part of my wake. It was a big part of my awakening. In fact, that's when it really started. Was when I quit the Mormon church because it like set me free. You know.
Wow. So it's like Dale's like very organic, and you, to me, looking at you do you have any type of galactic connections?
I'm sure I do, but I don't know what they are. I have a feeling it might be ABN or Mantid. I have some friends that I think we all think we're Mantid.
Yeah.
I really
But
want
I mean,
Mantid, but
and so I mean, but like you know, they say the opposites attract. You know, I know like Morgan's very galactic. I was always very organic. You know, she spoke a different language, but I could, you know, understood it somehow, some way. You guys seem to have that type of, you know, symmetry.
yeah, we fit together kind of like a puzzle in a way because a lot of things that he doesn't like, I do, and a lot of things that I don't like, he does. But it complements each other. Our qualities too, because there's some things he does that he helps me with my things, and other things I help him with. So an interesting dynamic.
So you sent me a very humble message, and you said, you know, we're not experts. We don't have a lot of experience. There's a subject or two you want to talk about, which I'm totally open to. But you do, and you said it a minute ago when you were showing us the tattoos, you do kind of identify with being a conscious couple, twin flame, or people use a lot of different terms for it. But when did you guys come across that? And when did you start to say, I think we're meant to be together? There's something going on here. You know, maybe people are writing about it.
I think when we
I
first
think
met,
the day he walked up to the door, actually.
when we
Is that
first,
right?
it is. When we
my-
knew each other, seen each other online,
And we loved each other as people, as friends, you know.
and we were both in a relationship. We've never flirted, but she was just the nice lady on the other side there. And once we had both ended relationships with our other previous partners,
We
it
became
was
friends.
basically a how would you like if I came over and spent my vacation in New Mexico. Haven't had a vacation for a while, and she was all like, sure. And I think it was actually the moment we walked up, because I saw the brightness glowing from her, and I guess she saw it from me. And
Yeah, because I have.
that's the moment we talk about. It's just like, I thought she was actually there to say, open the door, know right when I came in, but she didn't even know that I was there. And I had already had my
like
luggage and
moment right there.
was ready to grab the knob or knock on the door for the knob. And she opens the door, and I was right there.
It was like, whoa. I don't know if there's something about, we'd already said hello, but he went back to get, and at that moment, because in my life, I've had maybe 4 people I have that feeling with when I meet them.
Mm-hmm.
It means there's something important with that person. And it's been male and female, but it's usually been some kind of healing or important mission or something. And I definitely had that. But as soon as he walked up, and it's a moment that's burned into your brain forever when you have
Wow.
this kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, like hearing each other's voice for the first time. A lot of people talk about the voices activate, the other
Well,
one.
it does sound different. It did sound different.
Maybe.
Face to face instead of, say, over a speaker.
Right.
But it was the feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was.
We just got along.
In
We
this-
talked for 24 hours.
Different things she does with the native incense, the rocks. I grew up as my dad was a rock hound in California. We went to the desert and hunted rocks, hunted for rocks many times. And I come meet Susan, and she's got like all the rocks that we used to look, crystals, all the rocks we used to look for, or some of them that we used to look for.
So we're interested in crystals, and he knows somewhat about them because he grew up with it. So
Wow.
you didn't realize that they were a spiritual thing, though, or they could be used in a spiritual way.
I've made three medicine wheels outside in our backyard.
Beautiful medicine wheels. We went to Sedona and to meet a friend that I haven't seen in years. And she's an interesting lady that I might give you her name because you would be very interested in this woman.
Oh, awesome.
Written a book. And so we went to meet her. And while we were there, I was going to take a hike back to Cathedral Rock in Sedona. It was by the river, and it was a rough hike. So we have his brother with us at all times, and he's in a wheelchair. So Dale had to stay behind. I felt really bad about that. But when he stayed behind, that whole time he was walking around his yard, and this man his yard is loaded with medicine wheels, spirals, and labyrinths.
Probably 10 of them.
Wow.
He has like a business where he does that sort of thing. So Dale was inspired. He came home and made 3 in the backyard. And he said as soon as he made the first one, everything just shifted.
Yeah.
Felt it.
Did it feel familiar to you? Like you've done it before?
It felt easy to
Yeah.
make. Yeah. It was real easy to make because it was, and then how to make this because you got to make a perfect circle and get your compass out for the directions. And that's when I asked Susan to basically hold this one in the middle, and I drew a big circle around and put the compass down there for the middle, and we got all the direction. We started the rocks and made them. I don't know. It was just a fun thing to do together also.
Yeah.
I know I started them and had part of them without her knowing, so that was a good part too.
Yeah, that was a nice part. He made 3 of them, and my mama, a daddy, and a papa just turned out that way. But it was fun.
So do you guys have any type of routine? I mean, like, do you meditate together?
Morning meditation.
Morning meditation.
Morning meditation. We'll sit out by our one medicine wheel for 10.
Yeah, not
A
real
good
long.
10 minutes.
He's not really. He has a hard time like staying still for a while. It's hard at first, to meditate.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I'm in the same boat.
I mean, 10
I even
minutes.
have a hard time. I just try to be quiet for a
And
while.
where ours is, you got a highway right next to us, so you're
Mm.
always constantly hearing that highway. You can't really just
Mhm.
say.
I like to use my voice because I'm a sound therapist, so I do singing and stuff.
Mm.
Any kind of thing anything could be a meditation, no sewing and
Absolutely.
art
Yeah.
and all that, so.
Absolutely. Have you guys ever had any type of mutual divine episode or dimensional experience, or just kind of paranormal psychic phenomena kind of things happen?
Well, we've had a lot of synchronicities, just things happen that are like magical. Um, yeah, there's been so many, and we don't write them down. We probably should. But the big thing with us is everybody compliments us. It's like too much. It's insanity. And sometimes if we're with a group of people, they talk about us for like, it's like, stop already. They keep for half an hour.
Hmm.
And it was because when we got married, it was
We did it online too, just recently.
on a Zoom, and we had our bunch of chat friend people and people I've known in the Marine Corps 40 years ago in my life, people she's known all her life, my brother or my sister, her kids. I mean, it was a whole, and we had friends from Spain and England and Ireland, Australia that were at there, whereas normally that would, in Canada, normally that wouldn't have been any of them back, not any, but
yeah,
they wouldn't have been
the
able to
lockdown
come.
thing worked out really beautifully that way.
And a Zoom wedding.
Y'all did that recently?
Yes.
On the 20th of April, yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
10 days ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you had a Zoom wedding. How cool was that?
Wedding, it was very awesome. It was very awesome.
Yep.
And
Wow.
we did it right here where we are, and that was our.
And yeah, the
altar.
room
We
was
had
up to 100, and when the Charles opened it,
47.
it opened up and had 47 people, but then actually as it started and he was doing the ceremony,
More people came in.
there was a lot more people that wanted to join in, but I guess from your point of view, there is you have to let them in.
Yeah.
And he didn't remember to let anybody else in. So then I didn't know on Zoom also that if you touch on the side page, it'll give you to the whole second page, because there was like 24 on one and then on a whole 24 on another side page. We didn't even know that there was a side page.
So it was over.
Wow.
Until it started coming over to our page, and when people were leaving,
afterwards.
and then they'd come over to our page automatically.
Some of the couples that are coming out are talking about like in that third energy that's produced between them, from them, almost like a joint mission. Although the relationship is obviously the core of the mission, but had you guys have any? Has that been part of it when y'all came together? That y'all are developing something, or do you see yourself doing something together jointly?
I hope so. I'm
Your
hoping
business.
for it. I've got a small business, so we're trying to get that going. We had some challenges, and then of course this happened, so it's kind of messed it up a little bit. We're trying to get that going, working together, and I also do the sound therapy, so we might end up doing that. I just don't know what direction we're going to go. I also have always, since I was young, and I think Dale is with us too, developing a community. That's really something I've always thought I would be doing. But right now it's obviously not time because we can't even be next with anyone. But at some point, there'll be I believe there's going to be little communities forming, and I think I'm
And are you guys in New Mexico?
Arizona, Bullhead City.
Okay, you're in Arizona. Okay, cool.
I was in Las Cruces.
Yeah. So you mentioned to me in the message that which I can tell you, it certainly resonates, that some of these couples are having a little bit of interference and coming into their flow and almost like trying to like keep them apart, that type of thing. Have y'all had that experience?
Yes, every so often it's like an energy comes in, and I'm much more empathic in that way, and I feel it powerfully strong, and it's really, really hard to get rid of. It takes a lot of effort.
I didn't feel it. I feel it when she does, because I catch the energy from her, and then all of a sudden, really, you can see it in her face. It's from the bright, smiley, glowy face to, ooh. And I look and I say, is something wrong? And she says, like, yeah. And she'll talk about it, and we'll talk about it. And usually it'll go away with it talking about it. But it has lasted overnight a couple times, and the next day, it's always usually a little better
Yes.
because the energy flow must
Past
have
few
went
days have
away.
been very intense. I can feel it.
The last what?
Couple of days.
Yeah, there's been a lot of heavy, not heavy, but there's been a lot of energy. Even today has been, it's been a little bit challenging for me to sit down here for 3 shows, and that's normally not a big deal, regardless of the energies. But yeah, a lot of people are talking about the last 2 or 3 days. Did you, when this in this one specific in regard to, like, say, an interfering energy, you're talking about a non-physical energy, not necessarily people coming at you or things like that?
Well, both, could be both too, because, well, I think we're all pretty good at resisting them.
But the one we were talking about was a non-physical.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Probably non-physical.
Correct.
And there's somebody who might be sending some stuff to me.
Sending woo-woo or
Yeah,
whatever
but I
they...
think they might have given up, but there was a time that it was really attacking me, and I believe that was a possibility.
Must have been one of Dale's old girlfriends.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then it's been black, actually. And then, the Schumann resonance and all that stuff, it comes in powerful. But besides that, I think they're targeting. I just don't know. I don't have any sources or anything, but I feel that at least some of the twin flames, the ones that are not vibrating quite high enough yet to resist those energies, are trying to sabotage them, because they are the ones that are bringing in the new earth, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them get together, and that's when they raise their vibration to a certain point. That's when, boom, it'll happen. So they're trying to stop it, and I think they could be targeting that. I mean, they have ways of doing all that kind of stuff. What do you think? You probably know more than we do on that.
No, I just I don't know if that I do or I don't know. I think certainly the couples, the divine unions, are playing a role in anchoring the higher frequencies to the earth. No doubt about that at all. Yeah, because I mean that's you know pretty much been prophesized along with most of the rest of this stuff. But yeah, certainly there's been. I mean, I know that in our early time together, I know we were targeted. We knew we were targeted several times. Probably more than what's that?
What do you do about that? How do
Well,
you do?
it's funny. We connect together every day, every night when we go to bed, and we've pretty much done that since we have come together in the physical, and we just connect to the you, me, we, and it, and whatever needs to speaks to us. But we were told, be together, love each other when you're together, and in our case, because it's our mission, broadcast. And just kind of keep it simple. So, we would do what you did. We would say, hey, something's going on. Um, Sometimes we would get validation from a friend that would say, hey, I just saw what somebody, stuck an arrow in your back, or we've had a lot of stuff like that occur. But yeah, I think we do what you did. We talk about it. We just, I think there's something to speaking about it. Really, I think a lot of the different aspects of the ascension, you do good by expressing your feelings or your experience. And so I think that, what you're doing is something we did. Yeah, for sure. And then, if it's obvious it was somebody in particular, then we might discuss that a little bit, but try to, not go into judgment and, try to get that part of it balanced out. But yeah, I think that's definitely a something that's going on out there. There's no doubt at all.
And plus the challenge of the mirror aspect. Is that every twin flame has the mirror thing? Is
Well,
that
I think so.
probably
I think
that's
for
the
my
suckiest part of it?
well, it's interesting because we don't really use that term. Not that there's anything wrong with anybody using it, but one of the reasons, because it's been kind of distorted. But one of the things that we noticed, and everyone pretty much noticed, it's been in the community. But there was a lot of people saying, I found my twin flame. And some people even use it in terms of saying my catalyst twin flame. Like they'll have a encounter and then they'll meet the person that's actually their fit. Um, but yeah, I think the mirror thing is, yeah, it's the biggest part of it. It's a fast track opportunity. It's never them, it's always me. So when two people are in a relationship, be it romantic or not, and they both know that the other one knows how this works by taking responsibility for anything and everything and not externalizing it, then it makes it possible to to get back into alignment and to elevate from the effect of the mirror that made you feel uncomfortable. So yeah, so you guys have experienced that. You've experienced the mirroring thing.
Yes, and then we've say went from the worst of it, not the worst, but the worst of it to the best of it.
Yeah,
It just
but
takes
we also mirror the good things,
communication.
we also,
Absolutely, absolutely, we
and
do.
that's wonderful because you're learning about yourself at the same time, well, the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
You
That's a
know
very good
of
point.
her and be friends with her for 13, 14 years, and then you don't really know her until that first day that you actually meet her. And then now we've had, different
Experiences.
experiences with each other that see where twin flames really come involved. Whereas I wasn't, say, knowing about a twin flame, what they were or anything. And when I see Susan sometimes will finish something, or as I'm saying something, she'll talk about it too. That, or I was just thinking about that, and
Mm.
Or we both say the same thing, let's go eat it, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Same
we
place.
could be
We're both craving the
opposite
same
ends of
food.
the house when we walk to come together to go say something, and we both have the same
Exactly. Just meet in the middle or like,
feeling or the same.
I'm very
answer.
empathic, and he is actually also, but I just feel everything. So.
And it's like so I mean, like in comparison to your previous relationships, I mean, what are the biggest differences, do you think?
Well, for me, the biggest difference is the intensity of it is just way harder, I guess, and better at the same time.
Was married a long time. I think I know Susan in the short period that I've known her physically. I've known her on the seeing her for probably 13, 14 years. But I feel better with Susan than I ever did with my
Wow.
ex-wife. I mean, it was like there was I want to say not magnets that attract, but magnets that retract from each other, that repel, that will never go. And with Susan, I felt that it was an automatic magnet that you can't even really pull us apart.
Oh, and that's another issue with me, is I cannot leave his side, and it's causing issues. A couple months ago, was I've got to get away because I'm becoming him. I'm almost like losing myself, so I have to back off. And it's just this compelling need to always be together, and it works out for months at a time. But then after a while, it's like, oh my God, this.
You can have a sewing room and never sew because
I'm always
either she could be standing in the yard watching me do yard work or helping me in the yard doing yard work rather than say come back in the house. And I don't know, it feels good for me to have it like that, but I guess from her side that she's not really getting the energy from say her
well, my
sewing.
challenge is to nourish myself also, not just
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Your first priority is you, and the second one is
right.
the relationship. Do you guys have a like a go-to or a process that you use when if you do get out of alignment?
We just talk, and
Probably the medicine wheel and the bench.
yeah, we sit in front of the medicine wheel. I sit in front of there all the time anyway.
That's like the That's
We would
like
go
the
outside and
detention center,
sit.
or not really the detention center, but that's the thinking center,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
communication center, where you can, I don't mean where you
The
can just
centering,
open
the
up.
centering center.
You just say what's on your mind. If you guys had something over here that you didn't like, and seem like later in the day you'll come out to the detention center and you'll talk about it. and it's always better when you leave, and we've always left sitting there always in a bright mood, whereas we've walked out there and sat there like we were going to the detention center.
Oh.
We had like a feeling when we were going there to talk about it, but then once we've talked about it,
Going in nature is really
leaving the
helpful.
place was a lot better because we've already talked, and now we've let
Getting
it out.
outside is very, very medicinal for people.
Even though it's hot.
Yeah, we're here in Bullhead City. It's 104. Two.
Is that all? I don't want nothing to do with that.
I think
We don't
Yeah.
either, but I'm here.
That dry heat.
Yeah.
And you said when you go places, people basically see you, how illuminated you are together.
Well, I don't know what they're seeing, but dang, it's just like, whoa, did you every time? And
You guys
I
been
almost started
together?
writing them down, but
you
then I
guys
stopped.
have been together for so long.
Well, the lady in the
You
back
guys
was
look alike.
the most interesting. This stranger, she just came up and said, "Are you in love?" And we said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, I could tell when somebody's together for years and years, they just look alike, and you two just look like you're in love for years and years." And at that time, I just moved here.
Yeah.
So we hadn't been together for years and years, but
Well, at least not in this incarnation.
right. But we get a lot of comments.
And that's in public, in the bank.
You're,
I mean, that
you're
was
a
a-
favorite couple. You're a beautiful couple, and they can't stop paying attention to us. It's like, it's bizarre. It's just very bizarre.
I would say it's because of you.
Hmm.
And it's only when we're together, though. If we're separate, it doesn't happen.
Yep.
Have you had any interaction with other couples that you might think carry the same code?
I don't think so.
Vicky,
Vicky.
uh,
Vicky?
Polio, and George?
Oh, I don't know if they're twin flames.
No.
But they love each other very much.
And George and Lori and Dean.
Oh, yeah, maybe. So I don't think so, though. Not actively that they know they're twin flames.
Yeah.
We
But I was
don't-
just wondering if you've noticed anything happens if you come into
Oh,
the same,
that would be cool.
energetically, if you can feel anything.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to that because I'm sure it's going to happen.
Mm.
And yeah, so,
I haven't known it. I
yeah.
haven't known couples to be like that. They don't seem to be arguing with each other.
Well, we don't argue that much, but it is difficult at times, and that's the biggest thing as we learn about ourselves and growth. The self-growth thing is. And here I thought, doing this for so many years, I thought I was already ready. You don't meet your twin flame until you're ready. So I had already gone through the dark night, and I was all, I'm good to go. Whew. I didn't even get close to finishing my work. He helped me to finish the leftovers. And now I think he might be going through that because everybody has to experience that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a lot of animal connections also. Animals are a big thing. Dale's been seeing a lot of animals lately. And he just got a spirit animal recently. He's a red-tailed hawk.
Oh my, that's my animal.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
That's my number one animal. The bear, wolf, and owl, but the red-tailed hawk, yeah, because I spent my first couple of years of my wake up on the streets, and they would come all the time. I mean, they'd come at the worst time, they'd come at the best time. And even as I've traveled around the country, I've still ran into them. But yeah. So how did you receive that? Were you outside?
We did it with a shaman, the one that married us. He's
Okay.
a shaman extraordinaire. His name is Charles Connexer. And I'm sure he'll watch this. And he married us, and he's my shaman teacher, I guess. I've known him for, 10, 15 years. And I've taken a lot of workshops, and he's mentored me quite a lot.
And yesterday with our hawk experience.
Oh, yeah.
Had another hawk experience
We saw
yesterday.
2 gigantic hawks. They flew around the car. And then here comes a baby.
And then the baby flew in.
And that morning we drew
I
a
go to
card,
take
the
pictures of it,
Empress.
and it's like it wouldn't let me take a picture of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Which
zooming
means it
around
was
and
really awesome.
I zoomed it out to try and get a whole open sky view of it. But when I take the picture, it was off the camera. So I never really got the picture of it yesterday, but the two mom and dads were all flying around back and forth with each other, and then the baby came in with them. And
So I know we have something in the future because I had a healing recently, and when I was finished, I saw a gigantic egg on my wound.
Oh,
Just-
really?
It's a big egg sitting there, and I was like, what's that? But
I've heard quite a few people talk about that.
really?
Some were golden eggs. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And actually both couples, like a birthing, the egg representing birthing. Um, yeah, this has been going on for, I would say, I've picked up on it the last 3-4 weeks.
Oh, well, that's really a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stick-
and I've been getting cards and stuff that say pregnancy, baby, birth.
child.
So, but I'm not having the baby, so it's something birthing.
Well, energetically
Right.
speaking, yeah, definitely. In fact, I think there was a run of them around the equinox. I know we had an experience, and it would have been the equinox, evening of the equinox. And they basically came in and said that the golden child had been conceived, and that would be birthed in around the solstice in December. And other people, talked about the same thing, receiving the same thing, and it's not always in the exact same metaphoric explanation, but very similar. Certainly with egg, golden child, conception, and that type of thing. So I think energetic, and actually the information that we got on the night of the equinox was that enough people had done enough work to allow that to create that conception. So that's a good sign. Yeah. What? So how are you guys handling this worldwide quarantine? Are you
Easy, schmeezy.
easy?
We take
Has
care
it-
of a handicapped brother, so we're basically home all the time.
Yeah.
We can't go out really.
But it's
He's
all
in
the
a wheelchair.
social distancing and things that are.
Going
No.
out is a little freaky, but because we live next to Laughlin, we drove through there and it's completely deserted, like a ghost town.
Is that right?
Strip.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty epic.
Yeah, it's like Vegas.
Yeah. I've been there. We passed through there a few months ago, but I
Nothing.
Laughlin,
We're
right?
9 miles from Laughlin.
We just bought a new truck, so we went driving.
There you go.
Pretty empty.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
So-
okay.
Yeah. And so like, do you guys ever just take time apart, like where you have to be, in your own solitude and that type of thing? Is that part of?
That's what I need to do more of, and I need to make myself do more of it. And we have been doing it somewhat. I'm kind of separating a little bit and getting my own thing going here. So yeah, because I like to quilt and sew.
I keep trying to get her to, but I say the
So-
wrong things, and I can say this on open mic and everybody, that even if you have another room in the house and it's a sewing room where your wife likes to go, please don't ever tell her to go to the room, because that is not a good thing.
That's an old wounded masculine comment.
So
The one where what's wrong with you?
I'll never say that again. It's not.
Yeah. I've had a few of those slips. I've gotten better though over time. We're going on 5 years, and I'm doing pretty good now. I don't put my foot in my mouth too often anymore.
I had my whole foot there.
Yeah, I've done it. Well, I've had my whole leg there on many occasions, and but I think that maybe that part's dying away. There seems to be. And have you noticed? I mean, I don't. There's a lot of talk over the last 4 or 5 years about the collective masculine, the collective feminine, energetically, and what's been happening in that relationship. That kind of coincides with a lot of these couples coming together. Have you noticed any type of connection or any type of parallel in your own relationship as you've evolved, where maybe, say the false masculine part of it's fallen away and the feminine stepping into the
Um,
power. And of course,
well,
this is it.
Dale's definitely changed a lot. I didn't even really know some of his parts before, but apparently he's discarded quite a lot of stuff. And I think I'm discarding. you know, I'm learning things about myself that here I've always been the good girl. I'm not that good of a girl,
Mm,
and I'm having to embrace that.
mm,
Because that's another thing is that, and I'm just saying this because it has nothing to do. Maybe it does, but everything's so separate right now, and with the two sides and all, and it's all about balance. And I think with the twin flames, it's the same thing, because a lot of them are opposites. Or
mm,
they're like the puzzle thing. So they're having to bring those two parts together too to balance them, just like what's happening in the world, because it's so off center that even the world is actually tilting because everything's so wobbly. But once everybody comes together or starts uniting, then maybe that's when the pole shift will end or finish.
yeah. And another thing people talk about too is the and I'm not talking like in a 3D sense, but I mean in regard to these couples that are starting to emerge, is the intimacy in contrast with the old intimacy. I don't know. So on one hand, it's things are more intimate, from hand holding to everything else. And then the other part people talk about is that when the intimacy is in full force, and that can be many, many things, that there's some type of elevation that comes with it, like code or downloads or visions, or, some people have had apparitions, visitations, that type of thing. But I mean, do you notice a difference in intimacy between where you're at today and other relationships in the past?
Well, it's definitely more intense and so forth, but we haven't had any actual visions or anything like that yet. We're
No,
still
but
developing. I see his energy moving
it's a better
around,
feeling. It's
more
like two
bonding.
bodies are
It's
one rather than say
more bonding.
one making love to the other one. This is like two, but I don't know. I can't say two is one, but yeah,
Yeah.
it
Just, it's
the
just
feeling
bonding.
you could feel it with us. I say from the very first time we've had intimacy,
Mhm.
Well,
and no, and then it feels better and better every time. So I mean, it's not
Yeah, it's changing, like everything.
oh,
energy
you're
changes. The energy from say
But
being
I'm sure that
separated.
that will happen. If we just keep plugging
well. I
along.
mean, this is still really early, and you don't hear a lot. You don't read a lot about it. I mean, not real hands-on experience. There are people out there talking about it, but one of the things that people have talked about too, and some of this is, I think, just been handed down, sacred wisdom, and that's when, well, because it is the energetic frequency of that intimacy that kind of, raises the frequency of the individuals and the couple and the area around him and the people around him. Maybe that's part of the reason when you go places, people are fawning all over you guys, you
Hmm,
know, because you're carrying that afterglow. Yeah.
that's possible.
I kind of feel sometimes maybe they've had it or they want it or they're wanting to experience it.
Our relationship, that is.
Mm.
I mean, when I walk and when we've been around and we're say holding hands and talking or smiling back and forth, maybe they missed that. Maybe they had that at one time and they'd seen it in their relationship and
It
don't
seems like
have it. Or
we make them happy though, because they
Mm.
don't get like sad over it.
yeah, say you made
We
my
kind of
day.
raise a vibration. I know that sounds a little cocky, but that's
Mm.
what it feels like.
No, it's the truth.
Seeing you two made my day. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
we've
like
heard that before, and that was kind of strange. Neat. We're
What
happy for it.
what about like family and friends? Were they shocked when you guys came together and shocked by your story?
Well, my daughter doesn't like him because he's a Trump supporter. And I know she's getting used to him now. But no, they like him. My sons like him a lot.
And I know my family all likes
They're
her.
not like that though. They're not the gushy.
She's not anything like the ex, and it makes
Oh,
me a
his
lot
family's
happier now. And I feel like my family has accepted her where they never accepted the others. So it was.
We've had a lot of synchronicities with the events that have happened. Also, with when I came here, shortly after I got here, his mother passed away, and we talked to her on the phone right before she died.
Wow.
And she said, "Oh, now I can rest because I know my sons are being taken care of." And then she died, and during that time, I can't even remember because it was a very emotional, very intense time. But it was like boom, boom. All these big things were timing. The timing was just like boom, boom. You know, everything was like falling into place, like blocks or something. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So that's another sign to me that we're meant to be together when all these synchronicities happen over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, that gets us through the hard times, or it does me anyway. You know, knowing that we have a mission that's important, that I want to accomplish this mission, whatever it is. So
Whoever we can
we'll
help
do
with
it.
it. I mean, sound healing to just you're talking about him. I mean, it was.
Herbal things, I make herbal things.
Yeah.
She makes
So-
lotions, herbal lotions,
Pain balm,
pain balms.
breathing, deodorant, flower essences.
Right on. Very cool. So what kind of advice could you offer to anybody that's entering a relationship now in this energetic field that we're all experiencing as we go into May?
Wow. Well, I don't know if I'm even worthy to offer advice, but
Sure you are.
they just open your heart and love fully and listen to your heart. You'll know what's right and wrong by how you're feeling. And don't let anybody stop you.
And it's not just a twin flame relationship that needs communication. I'd say every relationship needs communication. That's what's strong. And if one is willing or the other's willing to give up whatever little things that they're willing to give up to be with the other person to make them happy. And everybody's got to give up something. I mean, that's just the way it is. And if you're willing to give up something, I think it can make a relationship bond and be stronger.
Or up. And what about I mean, you guys have seen a lot and been through a lot. What about this whole great awakening, this expansion of collective consciousness that by all, seems to be occurring? What are your thoughts on that? And, what kind of advice could you give to anyone that's just waking up now in terms of what they can do or what would help them?
Well, I probably have a lot to say about that because
Go ahead.
that's like all that that's my main, I don't want to say my main focus, but I have it in mind always because being a sound therapist, I've done a lot of research on sound, and it all started with Dr. Emoto with the water.
Yeah.
And right then I realized that we are composed mostly of water. If it can affect a water that way, it affects us that way. The words that are spoken, everything. And not only that, but being an energy healer, we know that we can send distant healing. So, and that's just with our intention, basically. We intend to do it. We do a few things, not much really, and out comes the energy, and it goes right to the person. So, because of that, my thing that I try to keep in mind for myself always is to remember that everything we do and say, how much it affects the world around us and the people around us. And even what we think, and especially what we think, because so many people are so judgmental and angry now, and they're probably not realizing how big an effect they're having, a negative effect on other people when they're hating other people, that hate goes to that other person and could harm them.
Yeah.
And so that's, I don't know if it's really advice or anything, but keep that in mind, because what you do affects others. And hey, karma comes instantly now. You don't want that stuff. So just stay in the moment.
Fact. That's a
Stay in
fact.
the moment.
Even when you put your foot in your mouth, Dale, it comes right away, doesn't it?
On that.
What about you, Dale? What are your thoughts on what's going on collectively, with the consciousness?
Hey, save me.
He's not really interested. He knows it's happening, but he's not really into it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've met a lot of couples like that.
It's all been new, and that's where
Well,
it's the willing to learn of what your partner knows and does too, and catch off of those vibes that I never had it before in my life. And
well, he used to
I
watch
like
TV and news and all, and just
okay.
he's given that up. He really realized just recently. So
Wow.
he's just starting to. He knows, well, of course, now everybody knows what's going on because it's coming out in the big open now. But we've got some sources that we listen to, and so we know what's going on, and it's really fascinating and interesting, man. It's the greatest show ever.
That's right.
I think of it as a sci-fi comedy because it's hilarious and it's pretty weird.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
And
Absolutely, 100%.
I was going to say, and what she sees like that, I hadn't seen, but by her telling the experience to me like that, and now trying to say live it or see it with her, I learned from that, because I can see where the different places are just fitting into place, and say some that are not in place. I mean, COVID virus for one.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in today and sharing space with us. I really do. I mean, it's been very refreshing.
I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'll send you some links. There's a lady, her name, and I'll tell you her audience. Her name is Linda Polio.
I said Vicky, sorry, I meant
Lynnda Polio, and she wrote a book called Trusting the Currents. It was channeled to her, and it's won so many awards now. It took her 10 years to get it published, and we had a very extremely magical experience in a retreat that we went to, and I think we may have been abducted even. It was pretty phenomenal.
Is that right?
She's pretty awesome, so I'll send you her link. She would appreciate the interview too for her book. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, send it over to Morgan. Don't send it to me because I'll never see it.
She created a new category. It's called spiritual fiction.
Spiritual fiction.
That's her new. She created that.
Far out. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting y'all. It's a privilege to be sitting in this energetic space with you.
Thank you.
I wish you guys the best, and if we get out that way, maybe we'll look you up.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye.